All right, good morning, everyone. So we're going to start with the Heart Sutra.
I frustrated the Arya with the journey as did I hear at one time, but almost dwelling on Master Vulture's mountain in Rashagriya, together with a great community of monks and a great community of Bodhisattvas. At that time, my Bible mind was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena for perception. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva Master Arya and Bodhisattva took on the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then the power order, the venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Master Arya Bodhisattva. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activities of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Master Arya Bodhisattva said this to the venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and immediately beholding those five aggregates also as empty by inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition, practice, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra likewise all phenomena emptiness without characteristics, unproduced, unceased, stainless not without stains, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition, no practice, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element in soul, including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance and soul, including no aging and death, no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no result of wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. The mind without obscuration and without fear, having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of the life. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment, and rely on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattva. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master, should train in the divine perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Master Arya Bodhisattva, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the venerable Shariputra,
The Bodhisattva Master
Arya Bodhisattva, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by Bhagavan. I prostrate to gathering of the kidneys in the three chakras who abide in the holy yoga of years and space. By your powers of advice and magical emanations, look after practitioners like a mother and a child. Vayata Om Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer hindrances be transformed, may they be destroyed, may they be pacified. Shinto, warriors, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and harmful conditions to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, and may there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here right now. Sashi
Guru Rana Mendra Lagalia Dayami Sangi Chodan Sojin Chanula Chanchu Patu Dani Kalsen Dagi Chishi Gibe Sanungi Brolabe Sangi Druparashu Sangi Chodan Sojin Chanula Chanchu Patu Dani Kalsen Dagi Chishi Gibe Sanungi Brolabe Sangi Druparashu Sangi Chodan Sojin Chanula Chanchu Patu Dani Kalsen Dagi Chishi Gibe Sanungi Brolabe Sangi Druparashu Kangi Tuzini Zone Tawa Tamsi Tambi Chun Denzi Bi Kodam Tela Changse Lo. Good morning, everyone. Teni Kazin Anzogi Choba Bijal, Dabi Mazon, Zig Choba Seti. The Lord side that in Java, the Lord side in the patient Javati, much Loksana. Tixarisra, Yili Chung, Choba Zum Chishichi, Uvo Yidu. Teta Dingo Sumbo Rixusena, Dan Hun Sonum, Yachambo Savadan Midim, Sajid Deresha,
Shokran.
Shobran Shivshesum, Tabu Mazon, Zavati Jetalai. Dan Hun Sonum, Yachambo Savadan Midim, Chetan Debi Longe, maybe teaching Chubin Leji, Jean Jen Dala Jaman Chibi, and Kachu Gendan Gombi. Genki Dabe Mazon Chabada Dagi 20 Nigi took Geshe Chebos.
So we started to look at the second chapter from Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, which first of all presents the way of making offerings. So we've covered a few verses in that section. Today we're going to pick up from the section that we started previously. So looking at the way of offerings, I'll put it on the screen for the people at home. So looking at the way of offering, it says, extending to the end of space, all of these which are unowned, having mentally created and offered them to the able ones, the Supreme Being and his children, may those with holy qualities and great compassion consider me with affection and enjoy these offerings of mine. So here in this section, we are making offerings of things that are not owned, unowned offering. All the objects not possessed by someone, extending to the end of space, having mentally created and offered them to the Supreme of Being, the able one and his children, respectfully in a good way, may those possessing qualities and great compassion consider me with affection and enjoy these offerings of mine.
Tirda Tachidang on Susu Semnalaya Katsu Mobu Yeduma and it's Tamjelo Zachim Zinde Samoloya and it's Gunjola Pundugi Samlochik Gononchi the Gograsra T. Yebiton and it's Sozolaya came never in a ya. Gonon Dindiji Yebiton came never in a ya, and Dabu Mazon Zetus and it's Lois Lanchi and it that gave me Conjosung Tsubi and Jazzy Chanchu Samba. Ani Nyaran Pabala Soba, Kanji Lama Givishini, Samalaya, Tus Pubaina, and the Pubigi, and it gave it our sonum, Dendensagioris.
I should have also read through verse 7, so I'll just put it on the screen for a second. It says also, I have no merits and am very poor and have no other wealth to offer. Therefore, may the protectors that thinks about the purpose of others enjoy them merely due to the fact it being my purpose. So Why offer only offerings arisen from the mind? It is appropriate to offer diverse, pleasant offerings. The answer is because I have not accumulated extensive merit previously, I have become very poor without the desired enjoyments. Since I do not possess other wealth to offer, I request that the protector thinks but singularly about the purpose of sentient beings to enjoy this unowned offering for my purpose. So whatever offerings we make, we need to make them with such a motivation, so that even if we don't have much to offer, even if we have nothing to offer, then at the very beginning, we should correct our motivation in thinking of the objects of refuge and thinking of wishing to make these offerings. We correct the motivation with bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. We make offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, to hearers and sort of to realizers, to the lamas, to the spiritual friends, and through that we gather the collection. Through that we create roots of virtue.
아니 건조당 아니 산지 찬스 라마 기위신이야 피엘이야지 아니 샘지 가서 더지 아니 간조 쇼지 칼라지 산도비 깔이야 저것도 깔이야 대마타도베 아니 칼라시보다지 저거 사야게 되고요 마신기 비기래야 아니 피하게 아니 샘리야 티와요 디비 소르치기 예비 토니 되니 소소라 매바이나야 로이란이 피바이나 아니 자세자당바더니 소놈사게요레스 어딘지 토니다 아니 지 소소라야 지금 소놈 마사비 온키 아니 단디 차라야지 롱쪽 퐁데야디 아니 혼 소놈 마사비 온키 제부치 임바디 아니 셈라 니비 토니다 지 문제 아니 소놈 마사비 또기 단디 차라야 지 있는 조원 멤버 이나야 딘지치기 가서 또 냠타바 짐바디 시비토니 니 루일라니 캄피바디 아니 케남기 니 소놈소비체도 시로치세 딘지제도스 로캠죽시에 쇠로디
In short, we do that in order to gather the accumulation, and we offer them without a sense of miserliness to the things, to the substances that we offer. And we need to think of them as being enticing, to being very pleasing, extremely pleasing to the senses. And we offer them to the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Lamas, the spiritual friends. And the type of attitude that we have is in wanting to do it quickly. Just like, for example, if you think of being very hungry, then you get a plate of food and you quickly consume that food with that sense of hunger, and your wish is being fulfilled or you're being satiated. Similarly, we take that approach with making offerings. We want to make those offerings quickly to those objects of offerings, and those offerings need to be very pleasing, very enticing. And even if we don't have much to offer or anything to offer, we can still take up those offering substances in our mind, unowned offering and so forth, and offer them. So currently, when we think of our current situation, we might be bereft of enjoyments, bereft of objects of use, and that is a result of not having done offerings previously, not having previously offered. So now we might find ourselves in a poor situation. We might be destitute. So we make such offerings thinking that I need to accumulate merit, and we request the objects of offerings to please take them, to enjoy them.
아니 당한도 처벌 비역이 고든 조직디 소놈사야다 소놈사야래야 아니 소놈사니 같이 걸스라운디 규장고라스 라 난주 규장고원자 sem jangu yoza sem zu di chik chadam mosam ani chi chado senna jensam seagi marom lo mambu shuch nganzo yoza tu sam lo janchi ni ani sem gi rangshin di su ta ani selna sangi waras tindi chiki mi tindi sumchin da nganzo choba pyu yoza choba pyu di zu di pyi da lo jangi tola pa jarwa na zu di ani lo marongwa ani seni gi nimbo le ya ndogyores ra manzo lonje le ya sena shuji milate ya pha shani rangi kyan lonje mani ya gi ani chome bi sanglo din yoros o dizo jaya gi chet choba figuros
In order to accumulate merit, and we train our mind, we train our continuum in doing that. In so doing, we apply antidotes to anger, attachment, to ignorance, to jealousy, to competitiveness, and so forth. Through clarifying thus the nature of the mind becomes Buddha. So we need to accumulate the collections in order to do that. And currently, when we look at our mind that is unsuitable mind or inappropriate state of mind, we want to purify that mind. We want to purify, for example, miserliness, which is an unruly state of mind. And we do that through making offerings.
tere dinza ta senadi ani ta chi soso la onwi ki lonje tozole ta nganzo sena shiwi chigor wasra dinza thambo pi ta jongdar da masonna tsero di ani chi soso la dawn maybe ki ani chala la ya thetsam gi chakshen chungo inza dindi gi tabchi to ne sungu yosar yesra ta soso la ya dawn maybe ki ani 다 메셴기에 다도 마소 수저 다음에 아니 같이 론절로 서 디젤 미니 아니 표약이 잠바치지 되는다 소소를 여비 다지 아니 존나데 약슈도 피고 거든요 디젤 마소나야 지 아니 강나 감정 피기래야 아니 로자 이 타르투온디 아니 론절 좀 마힘바 소수 루슨제니 아니 펜토사지 여바이나 아니 제투야다 라마 군주스는야 샘띵이 퓨투야기 닌덥디 아니 센나 좀 투바이나 레기어레스 라 데니 루임부 쳐바세기 딩고레스
Miserliness not only prevents us from giving things to others, but sometimes it also renders us incapable of using things that we have, and in holding them, in keeping them without making proper use of them, at the end they become damaged. So we need to quell that sense of miserliness. And normally we have that strong sense of clinging, attachment to the things that we have. So first off, we train our mind stream in giving away things. And if we find it really difficult at the beginning, to give away things that belong to us, then first off, we train our mind in quelling miserliness and giving things that are unowned. And we train our mind in that way to the point in which we're then capable of giving things that belong to us. If we can do that, if you can offer excellent things, all the excellent things that belong to you, that's excellent. But even if you cannot do it for the time being, in stages you start training your mind in making those offerings in order to quell that sense of miserliness. And not only you offer such objects of enjoyment, at some point you also offer your own body, to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, to the point in which you become so determined, so courageous in your giving that you're capable of giving away your own body. And in training your mind in this way, you come to destroy miserliness.
Ya kunjo di nganzu sonum sasa yul ma ompong chambu dia nganzu sonum sasa yul chaganza ta Seni nimbo komsagi cho ni sodachi goena go chogoda asra ya kunjola phubi give tsawale teni ani sonum sache ani sena panto ya chida umpong la jimba tanche ani dig ani sonum la teni ya sena panto ya kanji ani tanji shiwa nanjingi chi susula ya ngoni ge rindan dembi chi kari yobaina ani kunjola phuba la teni sonum chiksa yanchi susula ya tetsangu peje megyo 수술라 다만 얘기요 이따가스 아니 간주기 니마 지금 팬 톡을 상상으로 레와지 개지 아니 냐데지 네 퇴비 마음 슈지 냐데져스 어디 리그도지나 아니 피길이야 강한 체대야기 온본 투솔이야 삼만남다 기대바이나 짐바르와스 라 어디 딘지 톤다 아니 간지 간점질이야 아니 센닐도세디 자원이니다 지 마기야지 라 어딘지지 텐덴 아니 초바당 짐비 냠는 때니 용구요레스.
We also give to the destitute, to the poor. So there are two avenues for dispelling miserliness. We make offerings to the jewels, and we also give to those that need, to those destitute, to those bereft of necessities, and through that we accumulate merit. So things that are of great value to us, we make offerings to the jewels, to the three jewels. We have things in our possession that we don't use, and still with that sense of tight holding, with miserliness, we think that although I don't use it now, maybe one day in the future I will need it, I will make use of that, and we cannot give it away to others. So we practice generosity. We give those things that we do not use, those necessities, to those that need, to the impoverished, and we do that with a genuine, with a pure intention. Through that, we dispel miserliness. So we make offerings. We give to those at need. We accumulate merit and eliminate miserliness.
Tiri dinzida ani nyamda lepteba inada jimba chagona ani samloji da gugdo asra. Pena nganzu gi ta chi mishamba jila ya khari teba ina ya mishamba jila ya treya di ani chi susu gi tam nyanda do chi thoni teba ina ani di delaya peshi and chujo ni samdama ina ani sonum sa segi di peshi yo samares ro kunla mandu chu kandaji chewa ina ya kunla ra le dos tinza pasho malaya ji pen 통이 시버지 아니 군조로 표현해 군조 투 링이 시버지 어딘지 지 토니 아니 상단이 표바이나리 제바이나 데니다 야부여라스라 야부여사레스라다.
So we practice giving in that way with a genuine intention, with a genuine thought. If, for example, you give in thinking that my reputation will increase, my social standing and my reputation will thereby become better. Maybe we can say that with this attitude, you don't really accumulate merit. So you need to have also the right attitude when you make offerings, when you practice generosity.
In the middle of Patricia, or Dindi Yungwarza, Dindi open a Nando Jimbana, Nigi Castle, that the Jimbada Kimarina, Nigi meet the Pasoma, so soon kill Magana, and in Milaya Jayagi, some of the tuning Cordum the straw. The Karina Hamas, the Kanji, Mitchell Table, Yagaj Teshana, commit the Gayak Chivaza, the Yakshido did have some sort of. And a Radi, Tesusu Gavena. Mi pasoma that Longwaina Suzula Longwaina the Jerosis Lavaina, Kundis Logaras, Suzula Piji made you Mishamachi Longwaina, Gavingani, the Korana Guenza, Gavingani, Gentuaina, the Diaw Pedos, the Peshi and a Pensamji Kunilana, the Jimbi Telaya, Rosaries. The Suzula Tsavin Piji made you Susu Magajuchi. And it 다가서 문제를 떼셔보이나 디양 상로디 풀라 소수마가 이제 견제 디자마도 시대 매교를 디양 첼은 로투 무두세 간지 아니 비길이야 상로야 당신 그러 아니 자와 가리나 제바이나 아니 자와 견된 샤사레스 다 도도시나
And when you give something to another person, you might be giving something that you don't use at all, something that is of no use to you. So you think that, well, I don't need it, so I can give it to others. But when Geshe thinks about it, at least he thinks about it with respect to himself. So suppose that you have something in your possession that you don't really need. It might be something that you like or something that you dislike. If there is something that in your possession that you don't really need, and you also don't really like it, then you might give it to others. But even a greater sense of giving, a more meritorious way of giving is to give away things that belong to you. It might be that the other person will ask you for that. They will be bereft of something, they will need something, they might make a request to you, and you might give it to them. But even more so, even if you're not requested to give, there's something that you don't really use and you still like it. If you give it away to others, then the merit that you accumulate, the benefit that you get from that is greater. Just giving away something that belongs to you and you don't really use it, not only you don't really use it, also you don't really like it. Is there a great benefit in that? You know, it's a way of giving, but it's just that. So when you think about it like that, may that be of use for others. May it benefit others. And with that attitude, you give. Your way of giving, your way of thinking becomes of great meaning.
당에 가시오스나 난주 남아산지 위치 지기여라스. 그런 남아산지 위치 대한 태고침 위치 지기 중문에 수술령아 이성기 자wak한 집어디 태고침 위치를 룽이지 취를 룽이 취가 나는게 태고침 위치를 룽이 시버지 마차 바르도 아니 산지 세디 용해여서 말했어. 디자 다 룽아 이성 자wak한 집어디 안 태고침 위치를 줘야지 제 요리베스 저 땅에는 야땅에 요리스 디츠오디 칼 투그리 피기 아니 자와디 체종다 자와디 가서 웅 정례 돼야지 제부도스 라 아니 조디 랑 공래야 라레바지 공기 쪼바이나 향기 라바야자 마빠비야티야 셈파샤 라바야자 마빠비야티야 대버침 쉬어야 돼야지 수수 니쿠야티 칼라사야티 추동에 존재니 대버침이 취를 줘야지 제여로 왔어.
We are practitioners of the Buddha Dhamma, even more so of the Mahayana Dhamma. So whatever we do with our body, speech, and mind, not only can become a practice of the Buddha Dhamma, it can also become a practice of the Mahayana Dhamma. Until we can transform whatever we do with our body, speech, and mind to the practice of the Mahayana Dhamma, until we are able to do that, we will not be able to attain the state of Buddha. There would be no Buddhahood for us. So whatever we do with our body, speech, and mind, we want to make sure that it becomes a practice of the Mahayana Dhamma. Can we do that? We can certainly 100% certain that it can be done. So there is, if you wonder, what is the thing that makes our activities become a practice of the Mahayana Dhamma? Do they have to become huge or massive activities? Is it that the nature, the entity of those activities make them be activities of the Mahayana Dhamma? It's not that. It depends upon your motivation. Your motivation is the thing that determines the thing that you do as a practice of the Mahayana Dhamma. And you can do that to the point in which even simple actions, even just waving your hand, lifting it up and putting it down, can be a practice of the Mahayana Dharma. Activities such as sleeping, cooking, eating, and so forth, all of those different activities can become practices of the Mahayana Dharma if you generate the correct motivation.
어디를 지려서 다 드니 랑기 림보와 세드레 다 랑기 림보와 다 난주기 찌제 다직 아니 간지 메제 간살이야 직 찌제 치슈디 안 룰라 치기연자 먼저 탐험과 지기 룰라 치기연자 디야 다 종은 아니 군졸라야 틀 투바이나 아니 류디 된다 된바 자기 여행자 아니 홍급기를 담아 자신인들 전수 아니 류가 있음 아니 초지자와 세던 제발이야 풀치니 아니 자신인들 전수 줄바로 왔어 그래서 딱 난주야 코나미 제수 죽투바나 코나무 난신지 차야디 야지야단 바레스 디 소주 로돌라 라리 거라서
So the next in our text is making offerings of one's own body. So when we make offerings to our own body, we then in some sense surrender our body to the practice of the Dhamma. What we need to do with the body once we offer it is to act in a way that accords with the Dhamma. And this is the way that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions have done in the past. They themselves have offer their own body and thereby render their life meaningful. So we can also do that. We can also generate a great determination to make a life meaningful through offering a body. And this is what the next section is teaching in verses 8 and 9.
대다 마지사와드 마치로사고 갸단 대세 남나 다키네 다키 류군텐 보르키 sembanchonum dan yongji shiks kubi kegin bansun chiwarki dan kegi yongsu soyana sinam minji simjin pembarki hungi tigli yandan da yechi degwajayan hinjin migi tos.
Verses 8 and 9 read, put it on the screen. Offerings one's body. To the conquerors and the children, I always offer my body completely. May the supreme brave ones enjoy me. With respect, I make myself your slave. Being perfectly held by you, I shall, without fear, benefit sentient beings in existence. I shall leave earlier negativities behind in ever respect, and henceforth not create other negativities.
어디래다 난주기 다 류가 있음 다조 류데 단다 류부비 다 류부비 쳐봤어야 자고자 난주 류디 아니 야와세드 제발이야 푸니 샘띵 수주로 수주 푸니 안지 다 가와드 뎀비 미지나 아니 야와세드 집이기 다 시야기 레오요레스 이네 다 지금 나다가다고 아니 가와멘비기 미지기 가주스기야 우즈기야봤나야 고 수수소는 그 마저디 아니 야와세든 집이 시야 다 가부쇼지로 왔어 맞아 찍 셰바이나 찍 셰로 셰바이나 되니 다 미세드 된다 덴바치 미세드 된다 덴바치 큐사레스로 야와세든 집이 미지기 비기라야 미세난 그 자치슈기 랑기 류디야 푼 셰체비 제라야 다가스 난줄라야 미지기 잘라떼온디 피길라야 쿠교라 룩샤이저라스 베제 소소 베제마다 밀라야 마트에치 촐라탄자 디디 싸워니는 난가 말아왔어 라 아니 디 만한디다 야와세던 집이기 디기 톨라야 베제 나로 쳐봐이나 아니 심제 탐질라야 뱀비 탈투는 산지투비 규르야기 아니 찰리제가 샤그르마도 싸워니는 조마라 진짜 디 셰 카부슈치 이네 샘띵 라 샘띵이 비기래야 아니 직 닌지다 전주 샘 쪽바이나 아니 시야그레와 요레스 진정한주 표고가 드리프 산이 뒤따도 샘티네 아니 셰로치스 소타베디 아니 랜덤 토니 또 소타바이나 아니 디 소는 것도 없기 아니 시야그레와 요레스 시야그레와 요레스
of our body, speech, and mind, here we offer our body, and we make those offerings of our body to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. And Geshe said that when you make such offerings of your own body, if you're fortunate, they will take up that offering and use it. But then Geshe said that looking at himself, he's not fortunate enough for such offerings to be taken up by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. We make those offerings and we have that hope that those offerings will be received and will be used. So although Geshe said that one doesn't have, he doesn't have now the fortune for those offerings of the body to be received and put to use, still through insisting, making repeated supplications and asking them to take up those offerings for those offerings to be received and enjoyed, then you might one day that might come to pass. If those offerings are received and being put to use, then your life will be made meaningful. It's not that when you make those offerings and those of your own body and those offerings will be received, it's not that they will remain unused. In that sometimes we have things in our possession. We are incapable of giving them to others, sometimes we are not even capable of using them for ourselves. And in that sense, they go to waste. So this is not what happens with making offerings of one's own body. When you make those offerings and you say, please take those offerings, receive those offerings, you're making them for the sake of all sentient beings. This is the way of making use of the offering of one's own body, using it for the sake of all sentient beings, for the state of Buddhahood. So it is difficult for those teachings to be received, but if it is possible for those teachings, for those offerings, to be received, I should have said, it is difficult for those offerings to be received, but if it is possible, then that should be done while offering them with a sense of compassion, with bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. Then you do it today, you do it tomorrow, you do it repeatedly every day, and repeatedly you are asking for the offering of your body to be received. And through that you accumulate merit so that one day there is a hope for us, or for you, for those offerings to be received.
데레다 레다 ngada 지 아니 야와세드 제발이야 아니 퓨마투 비왕기 아니 자차 자타마 수수 비기 다 송치니 아니 데비 링리야 아니 루디다 자차 고추 고구 아니 차당 기야기 땐도 견도하지 마도비 아니 데데 치마 아니 산기 공부도 투야기 땡지 톨에 교야디 깔락하고 쇼지렌다스라 깔락하고 쇼지렌다스.
So you need to be able to have that willingness to offer, 100% willingness to offer it to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. But then Geshe said that someone like him making such offerings, in most cases, 99% of cases, he still have this sense of attachment to this physical basis, the body. And with that sense of attachment, it is difficult for that to become a basis for Buddhahood here and hereafter, in this and future lifetimes.
데레다 단 케지 용수 송이나스 라 간지 아니 초지자와 세든 제바 다 간지 아니 랑라야 랑도르니 신지말로버 땡긴기 라마기비 신이래야 퓨치니 다 제수 송원 임바이나스 나 케지 제수 송원나 아니 쓰는 민지비 섬제란 편바기인스 라 남기 타드님이 섬제 탐제래야 다 고야 퓨자베질이야 아니 야와스의 집이 고만나신 진다 아 조야지 여러스로 디기 진라부터네 먼저야 찌다 먼저 셈이야 차다모스 여르디네야 고 아니 초주 야와스의 집 라마 기위신인기 지송이 툴레테니 아니 람 로발야 만드바 람 양타발야 교 투야기 에 니바지다 소놈지 레인 그레스 딘자 아니 남기타다님이 선전 탐지기 팬디 투야기 에 고급지 라르고서레스 라르고레스 되니 되니 땅 인치 사비기 딕발야 교sem다 아니 친치 민치비기 아니 domsum tianga sobaro o dimjigi다 간지 샘노모야 하다 만드비기 아니 samlo다 남주 고 초주자와 쓰는 집이 전납을 때니 용기요레스.
The section says, to the conquerors and the children, I always offer my body completely. May the supreme brave ones enjoy me. With respect, and make myself your slave or your servant. So we think of making offering of our own body to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, to the spiritual teachers that teach us what is to be taken up and what is to be cast aside. And we recognize that currently our continuum, our mind stream, is governed by anger, attachment, and ignorance. And in making those offerings, we ask them to please care for us. Please care for me. Please lead me along the path so that I do not go astray, follow a mistaken path. Please guide me so that I will follow the correct path. Please guide me so that I would be able to accomplish benefit and joy for the sake of all sentient beings to the extent to the reaches of space, so that I might generate regret for the negativities that I have done. I will lay them down, and henceforth I shall not commit them again. And through that we receive, through that it is possible to receive the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions.
데리다 nganzu 뒤다도 담을람 제데 라미 친습 셈을 주고 쇼 세대티 라미 친습 셈을 주바이나 라 아니 간지 수수 르동 디 토네 아니 초지 자와세데 집이 진랍디 에 셈라야 주투요레스 디 주비 니모네 체니 아니 교와카리요레스 라원디 nganzu 단다 바르도 차당 모섬기 아니 nganzu sem gogorta sem nganzu gogorta lüdü yobo chechine ani kyo thomamema danda bardu ani nganzu chi khole ne deagi yujen soji tindich tonle yores ta lami chenab sem jubi nimoni cheni ani sem di chagdangi gokor matuyachi chagdangi chos masoyachi namjo da inji toki ko thandeng lamle kyo tuyachi 야시 야담보다 딘디진 거랬어.
We sometimes make those aspirational prayers. May I receive the blessings of the Lama in my mind stream. So through making such offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, we receive the blessings of the Lamas in our mind stream. And when we think of what happens in a way that how we receive those blessings and our mind transforms through that, currently our mind is governed by anger and attachment. When it is controlled by anger and attachment, those states of mind deceive our minds, and thereby we end up remaining in cyclic existence. We have been in cyclic existence since down with our beginning and up until now, due to the power of anger, attachment, and the like. So when we make such offerings, from that point, we recognize that we're not going to be controlled by anger, attachment, and so forth. We're not going to remain under their sway, but we're going to make sure that we follow loving kindness, compassion, and the mind of enlightenment. We're going to nourish them, cultivate them, so that a mind will be controlled by them.
어딜 다디 제와디 마치 로션 디살 달람 보월 체비 류여베스 라 소솔야 야차야탐바 세나문두 엔지 라원 여바디 원 여바디 수술류드레스 라 아니 다지 시행 자니 수지 아니 고고 땅야지 초야지 좀야지 소바기지 아니 뭐보 간드지 여바이나 아니 고 응원이 된 담비기 아니 소솔야 엉겨 말았다 지 왕기 여바이나 류디어레스 인자 엔 딤보와차고 셰바니스 라워다 딤보와차고 셰바니 갸와데 디세 남나 다기네 라오이 다기 류남 남바콘도 다기 차비 로 토르니 지니 삼비기 비기 지 차신 쳔부티 토르지니 아니 땡듬보와 키베스 셈바촌놈 다기 류용스 지시 푸르고바 대제 구베 케긴 방수 치시 가진 또 줘봐 기오스 푸니 차와 지식제는 나는 키기 용수 소면나 지바 탐제의 대비 껴을 땜비 세번은 민직시 지바 탐제 지바의 전에 심전놈나 폐마기지 라니기 되미비 훈지 되고 써봐 레 양다번다와 기지 되고 신야 현지 솔라 법자 미게도스.
Let's read through the relevant section in the text. It says, in looking at the commentary of offerings one's body, regarding this statement, since I have a body that can be offered, I offer it. To the conquerors and their children, I offer completely and always this body of mine, giving up the mind that makes it completely mine. So we have things we have other substances that we might obtain in certain ways. We might bully others, take it away from others, and so forth. The final thing that we actually possess would be a body. So we make offerings of the final thing that we actually possess. So to the conqueror and the children are offered completely and always this body of mine, giving up the mind that makes it completely mine. Please, supreme brave beings, enjoy it. The purpose of offering it is that I make myself your slave or your servant with faith and respect, and I will follow your advice in accordance with your instructions. Having offered it, whatever action I do, since I'm being held by you, I'm unafraid of existence because I'm relying on a refuge that is free from all fears, and I will benefit sentient beings. I will leave behind all the meaningless negativities that I have accumulated before, and I will not create new negativity, even at the cost of my life.
Teni sumba lu tu choban pabalanis lana yebi chobada lana mebi choba tambo lana yebi chobala chungni chuda nansa dan gen dan chugba dan medo dan pe dan shaze dan hansan dan shame kambo dan du dan romo dan chobi namba gyum me cheba chingila bo re tambola tambo chula sum chukang dan 추수를 수당 꾸치와 당보 충강니 자우드로선 디자 취기 캄바 신도 트샴바 셰기사지 세션 세와터 렌젠바르 깨와 용데 미티고 잘라고 제바 테레스.
Having looked at the section of making offerings of one's own body, now we're going to look at offerings that are emanated. We have common offerings and peerless or unsurpassed offering. First of all, looking at common offerings, which means offerings that are surpassable. It says that we offer a bath, clothes, ornaments, scent, flowers, incense, food, light, crystal palace, and blessing parcels, instruments in the blessing that may be continually in the aspect of offerings. First of all, we offer a bath, and we offer a bathing house, the way of bathing. The second point will be the way of bathing, and then the third is drying the body. Now, in offering the bathing house, it says in a fragrantly smelling bathhouse, with crystal grounds bright and sparkling, with pleasant pillars ablaze with precious objects, decorated with canopies made from light pearls.
loksaimba tadiri tadzu chidang an sewure da tanganzu chusor sejora ku chusor sedi ro ku chusor sediri ku chusor ya 당보 ku chusor sagi pigi tachi chungang da mas ta jidang chungang da tanganzu shesa majna chungang go yoras ani chungang di kandaji go res laung tanda dire 추기 한바 신도 제시한바 시에지사지 세신사를 젠바를 까와 미디와 잡라를 테바 타르스 땅아도 베디 즉 둘라칸 춘중 소르치기 서진들어 아니 다 조지겨 세든 제바 페니 꾸추소 사치기 간지 꾸추 아니 먼저 즉 민절된 젠바이나 다가스키 캄바진나 추자로 지금 말아서라 존딩이 도도진 다 nanzugi lunga yisam techini sendada chima tamchigi kyamju chusagi ani choji gyawa seda chibadi and dindijila dindishino da digmara da sosu ngwen digmara konamba zu pegu yanaya nangu yanaya sosu ngwen zayin digmenza and dindiji da chona gogores ngosu yan da yakshiros teda menaya da semnaya dindiji gom gogores ro.
So here we are offering a bath for those objects that we invite in front of us. And if we offer a bath, then first of all, we need to offer a bathing house. So it's not, and Geshe said that to put it shortly, we're offering a shower place or a bathing house, so or a bathroom. So in that sense, it is not really suitable to offer something that is simple. If you invite beings that are so important, so precious, it wouldn't be right to just provide them with something that is not good or something that is simple. Think about, for example, someone that is rich, very rich. It's not really appropriate to offer them something that is just too simple. So in that sense, we invite our refuge, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, and we offer them a bath. So if you have an actual bathing house that is immaculate, of course, that's good to offer. But even if you don't have that, if you mentally create it, you offer it to them.
Terida, Jadang, Karsorda. Je bögi chudan yung leper council on the Tensangi, Tajik, John Den Sog, Tajik, Chungang, so that was Charo Chigores. In a Tensang, John Den Sog, Chungan on Lolaya, Gibja Samolo, and it Tajik Manchaji, Pigeta, Loxota, Tene, or Dindikanjang, Laya Drede, Jutindi Tony. Chonyoros, Shenko Cortana Sobo, Tuzo Tana Sobo, Tinti Gipe, any Guton, Drugin, and Suzu Longeja, that Tindi, Jenata Digio Maros, Kanji, Tinza, Tanda, Choji Java said the Chiba, Kujuso Sag, Chungandi, Piggy, Tachi, Hinki, Manzu Metal Telesoba, and the Pug Telesoba, and the Hinki Pig, Ranjon Kamgi, and it's Kenyan bala soba, that dindichi, any Mevachina, the Yashin Saravasra. Mother Zavi that is Antinado in the Tachi pig, and Chulusa, Kumbachi the Gomar court, locked on the Tapi, Karisam the court, Saugon, the Sawatango, the Tamlay Gorasa. In a dizo and a gut on the soundless Tamana, Gumaron, Kangan, Rochton, the either ones that dear Tindiji Kunjola Pubaina, Mandri, they checked.
So we offer a bathing house here. So if you're someone that is awfully rich and you have this immaculate bathing house, a bathroom with lots of technologies, different stuff in that bathroom, the shower room, still it is likely that many of the things were obtained in ways that are involved with wrong livelihood, in that you might have obtained them, your riches, through cheating others, deceiving others, using others, abusing others, and so forth. So even if you have all of those different things, it's not really appropriate to offer to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions things that were obtained with wrong livelihood. So when you think of making such offerings of a bathing house, then you think that those things inside were not obtained by wrong livelihood. There are things that are completely natural. Flowers and scents and pleasant sounds and so forth. You offer all of this to the objects of refuge, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 10 directions, without any sense of wrong livelihood. The way of visualizing this bathing house is mentioned in this verse, with fragrant smelling bathhouse, with crystal ground bright and sparkling, with pleasant pillars ablaze with precious objects, decorated with canopies made from bright pearls. So the way of thinking of this bathing house is described in this verse. It's just like in the practice of the secret mantra, we visualize an inestimable mansion. So in a similar fashion, you visualize this bathing house for making offerings.
데레다 자위기 두조 제단 착부다 딘디키 말아왔어 말데이나야 아니 간주 두조야 아니 투섬 셰고야 베케첨부 간주 초사 드정 문중 아니 가서다 저위 토레 성담은 베케첨부 라 참참내야 간주 레하고 두조 레하고를 삼친 남의 당샤이지 딘디 자원인의 종구여서 말했어 라 디체와이나 아니 간지 소소기 비기 자와디 곤주 여바 방름 여바지 자기여서 말했어.
You might be thinking that these verses are really simple, they're really easy, so we don't need to really dwell on them. But still, it's important to make sure that we study those verses, that we reflect upon them, because for us it constitutes the way of accumulating the collections and purifying negativities and obscurations. So we might think that this section is quite easy, but often we tend to play down things that are easy and thereby come to dismiss them or to ignore them. So it's important to make sure that we do not miss out on those stages, that we do not take up a certain practice that is not done in an orderly fashion. It's good to make sure that we follow the sequence of the practice in the correct way.
랭안주 추수기 저거 코로나 나올라야 디스페 텐다티스 하고 봐이나 엔 람산 수자트야 배야고 열어서 간주 릉아 이성 드바장에 체도 간주 수수 릉아 이성 드바장에 체도 산기 고소 투숨이야 아니 저버피야리 구티소에 디치고라스 비 산기 꿀이야 아니 timamenaya rangi lu timatabi chedu ani sanji kolaya tujum du sogies tujum koran dindiyorasra sanji sonlaya ani deba mangaya ani simjenga gi deba janledu yayu ani sonla tujum du sowa sanji tula nimu mangaya simjen yigi deba janledu yayu tula tujum du sowas odus kuson tusuna jawandi 야고 쇼도스라 딘지 상을 땅투반 로 상을 땅을 다가랑 것도기 아니 까오만보다 니문 타로 그랬을라베나 랍투게 지차고 그랬어
There are rituals for making such offerings of bath or bathing house offerings. For example, in the text that we use for making such offerings, we ask to purify our obscurations of body, speech, and mind. In the actual verses that are recited in the rite for offering a bath, it says that although the body of the Buddhas, the Tathagatas, are without stains, still I'm offering this bath in order to purify the obscuration of my own body. Similarly, although the mind is not beset by afflictive states of mind, still I'm making these offerings in order to purify the obscurations from my own mind. So it's important to think about it like that. Although when you're making such offerings of a bathing house and so forth, you are not doing it, although you're offering it to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, it's not that you're offering it for them. You're offering it in order to purify your obscurations of body, speech, and mind. And if you think in this way of the stains, the afflictions that you have since time without beginning and up until now, with such an attitude, they can be purified.
Kamba zenden la sobe ane chachal tabesa shindu tishin batang sheji saji kado saji we sawa chidur ki tem terwa la rinchen we barbi kawa tang dongma la soba yi dongwa da denba tang tindu mediki tebe we chabe labri teba ter rose.
The commentary to this verse says, where does one offer the bath? In a bathhouse smelling fragrantly because of sprinkled sandal, with flow of crystal, clear of color, bright and completely clean, having adornments like conchos and pillars blazing with precious objects, above being adorned with a canopy of glowing from being permeated by bright pearls.
대신 시에다 대세놈라 린젠품바 망부 부이추 이온 레버 강 로다니 로모 집이 투미 쿠추 소스.
Now, with respect to the way of offering a bath, in verse 11 it reads, to the Tathagatas and their children, out of many precious vases well filled with pleasant incense water, accompanied by music and dance, I offer in various way a bath.
Those are just about the DSA Namla Rinchen Sela Sobi, Pumba Mambi, Trishumba the Jayu, Pigi, Chu Yedonwa, Medotan, Jebe, Leber Kawa, Nimbi Lotani, Romo Jeba, to me, Kudusova Chawas.
The commentary to this verse says, one offers a bath to the Tathagatas and their children out of many vases made from gold and other precious materials, filled with pleasant incense water that is fragrantly scented and has beautiful flowers in it, accompanied by music and dance.
샵쇼 다들이 제월 드나시 저다 지고 지야래 대다 권랑 총바 메비 그 장라 제접 그비 꾸치오스 제
And then, having offered a bath, then you dry up the body. Just like if you were to be attending a lama, a virtuous friend, you would attend to them properly. If you help them to take a bath, then you will also dry the body. So in the first 2 lines of verse 12, it says, I thoroughly dry their bodies with an unequal cloth, clean and infused with scent.
Terda that is a little. Then even non-sample one is that any kutusor kuchi sama jeta any kulaya the namzam pilgo yanza dire teni tela kado legurpi namza shindu tisham tambam burus kozan salan jamana sos naundi the dinawaya namzam busagi yulti ka ni roji cheni Jewe namole, Jewe tuzu nama songu tu sirwa.
Jodi and Logor.
Jewe ma lona jigdo.
So then, looking at the next 3 lines, offering clothes. Then I offer them then I offer them holy and well-scented clothes of nice color, various pure clothes, thin and soft. Having dried the bodies, I offer them holy fragrant clothes of good color. If they are in the aspect of a householder, I offer a various of soft, fine clothes of good size and color. So it seems that here there are 2 types of clothes that you might offer. You might offer robes, or if you're making offering to householder, then you offer them soft and nice clothes.
Direda di Jewe namolaya yazurum dorduch songudos chidor chibigi je teni choyul dela kado lebar gibi nanza shindu trishimba tambam bulu slawandi busugi yul kyabawa jikden gores ra busugi yul kyabawa jikden gores.
Geshe explains that just briefly. It says, having dried the bodies, I offer them holy fragrant clothes of good color. When here the translation says, having dried the bodies, I offer them holy fragrant clothes. Geshe explained it differently. In Tibetan, you can also read it. You can read it in a variety of ways. So you can say, having dried the bodies, I offer the holy fragrant clothes of good color.
Terdadi karitun gorsla di pena tab kila tuji chembo de dembe namba shaja toba genong nambaji ra da kong zubi da ji ani jasu chanju samba da genong nambaji rang gewi shini ani rabjon genong nambaji solaya ani namzad khanaj gores laundi ani kado lever gywa bi da ji 춘 도원 시비다 아니 남시기 가도 로만 센덴지 겨라스 어딘지 레벨 교딩인기 아니 난사 아니 지 지심부 어딘지 아니 물고 그여레스.
Having dried the bodies, I offer the holy fragrant clothes of good color. So if you were to make such offerings of robes, you're going to make robe offerings to the Buddha, who was a Gelong. You're going to offer robes to the followers of the Buddha, to the Bodhisattvas, who were also Gelongs, to other followers of the Buddha, who were also Gelongs or monks. So when you offer robes to them, you offer them robes of good color, which means that in a way that accords with the teachings of the Vinaya.
Terdinza da rabshung saideleya ra jamdindi jinju ka rabshung kodi anin dowan chibi kado lever giwachleya dindiji gogores ra da di da zu ani rabshung murmik deslaundi ku murmik said kanji rabshung ku manju tanda ji rabshung pigilaya pama rabshung chene ani Kelen numbersum kimbi tapang rabjong talen seati ani go tambo nenganzu kelen tambo koronaya ani kimbi ta pangi rabjong talengi inseg ani choji jawase de jibin dunaya chede kelen tambo korani terewas di ani ji kaso da ji ta mashina mashi bare moto shini ta ji tozuda tindi da ria samsung ki 아니 계속 그 사운드 톤이 아니 도나 맞아 봐이나 아니 예바침부레스 라
When it says that I'm making offerings to those holy beings, clothes or robes of fine color, it is the color that accords with the teachings in the Vinaya system. So when you're making such offerings to not only to the fully ordained, but to ordained people in general, to those who came forward, beginning with the Rabjuns, then you offer robes to them, to those that have decided to discard the signia of the laity and to take up the signia of the ordained, right? So in terms of the clothing and other things, you want to make offerings to those that have decided to relinquish to the lay life and take up the life of a renunciate. So when you're making offerings to them, you want to make offerings in a way that accords with the Vinaya system, beginning with the color of the robes that you offer to them. So it's good to do it properly, to do it correctly. Of course, if you don't know what it means, then what can you do? You just don't know about it. But if you know what it means and still you disregard it, then that would be a great fault.
데르데자 딱 빼는 까까려야 남슈 참부 다 딘지 까려야 콘도 유디드 뛴스 송여라 딘지려야 아니 지 베스 아니 가서 따지 수수 르보디 라 태부친 비추 정해지네요 르디 송고고라서 르 야부지 르 대부지 마찬 취지 투고 매바스라 먼저 내담보 딘자 딘지 치도 비기 빼나 아니 지그 아니 프론젠을 써봐 딘지지 기지 한국 여바이네야 아니 독차니 아니 라브중 문미 데 아니 그 전도 레벨 줄때 딘지지 총바이나 고 독차니 안 tum바지 차가도 왔어 초 탐지에 거다 배든 가와 차가면 왔어 딘지 총바이나 약간 도와든 tum바지
Because
프로 여바지 컴바이네야
So for example, we might have taken ordination, but sometimes when we experience, for example, weather that is cold, as practitioners of the Mahayana Dharma, we want to protect our body well so that we could use it for the practice, particularly when we are beginners in the practice of the Mahayana Dharma, we still want to protect the body. So, for example, when it's very cold, then even if you decide to wear a jacket, something with sleeves, then at the very least, it's good to make sure that the colors are the right colors in the way that it is indicated in the Vinaya.
제 어딘지 간지 gaddig나지 sabsab chichen ro sabsab chin rowaina ko name roj matanji sabsab chin rowaina kawkole yangan chuchi mathu edindi yungor di telaya tachi liu natsare da dimji ton chi yungor dozola an chomden de na nawa yores ro nawa yores.
So in this way, we adopt an attitude that is careful, that is considerate, not a dismissive attitude towards that, but one that is careful. And from time to time, we do experience states such as, for example, becoming sick. So if you're sick, there's a special permission that the Buddha gave.
데르다 김비 차지진나 그 상보던 쌀라 잠바 입단 카돈 하소다 제바 물쪽으로 왔어. 뭐 잡았어.
And if the object of refuge is a householder, then you're making offerings of clothes that are called with that. So it says, if they are in the aspect of a householder, I offer them a variety of soft, fine clothes of good size and color.
도지치, thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'll put the prayers on the screen. Nyududa Lama Sangye Dugine
Roji Yamalu Bhati Salangu Parasho Rumboji Maki Panam Kigurish Yewa Nyamba Mevayam Kuli Kundu Bewarasho
Kowe
Shinkansu Pendan Dewa Malun Jungwini Chere Siwan Tenzin Gyantsoyi Shabe Siti Bardu Tengyuroshi Jamjin Jangun Yawe Tenzin Jombewe Konso Dokozi Shosung Kowe Le Mondu Pandan Sondu Jigundu Shagin Sho. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Geshe.
Bye. Thank you.
It was Ayo.